Welcome back to RMU Live. I'm Nick Evans.
And I'm Isabella Harris.
This Israel-Gaza war is seeming to finally come to an end.
That could happen at least then 72 hours. Israel and Hamas have accepted part of Trump's Gaza peace plan. The remaining hostages there will be freed in the coming days in the exchange for Palestinian prisoners, accepting elements of plan put forward by Trump's administration that would represent the biggest breakthrough in months in the devastating two-year war. President Donald Trump wrote on social media, quote, "This means all the hostages will be released very soon and Israel will withdraw their troops in agreed upon line as the first steps toward a strong, durable, everlasting peace," end quote.
A Pennsylvania state trooper remained hospitalized in serious condition Thursday, and another was treated and released after they were shot by a man suspected of stealing clothing from a store and leading police on a high-speed chase. The man, identified as Lamar Lorenzo Foy, was shot and killed at the scene on Wednesday evening. The gunfire came after Lorenzo and two women fled a sporting goods store, where they stole more than $1,000 worth of clothes. Governor Josh Shapiro called for prayers for the two troopers. Shapiro said in a post on the social media platform X, quote, "Pennsylvania's law enforcement officers are the very best of us, running towards danger every day to keep our communities safe," end quote. The shooting took place near Chambersburg, just north of the Maryland state line.
Flames left a Chippewa Township house severely damaged on Wednesday night. The sides of the roof and house were completely charred. At this time, there have been no reported injuries or people inside of the house at the time of the fire. This is a currently ongoing developing story.
The Moon Township Police Department was recently presented with a generous donation of over $4,200 by North Star PA Events. The funds were raised during a purse bash on September 28th in Wexford to benefit the police department. The money will be used towards their mountain bike patrol unit along the Montour Trail, which the department says is a major need. This comes after an off-duty state police liquor enforcement agent was stabbed to death during a run along the trail in October of 2024. Terry Darkin from North Star Chevrolet emphasized the importance of this donation when she said, quote, "The more visibility the officers have out there on the trails on these specialized bikes, the safer everyone feels. It kind of wards off the evils," end quote.
As the federal government ends the second week of being in shutdown, Pennsylvania is starting to feel the effects within households and small businesses. According to new data from Smart Asset, approximately 43,000 federal employees in Pennsylvania, which is roughly 0.33% of the state's population, are now furloughed. As the agencies operate under contingency plans from Congress, economists warn that even a short-term disruption could slow spending. Financial aid for thousands of Pennsylvania college students are on hold as a result of the state budget in creating more delays for a vital program that has faced serious challenges over the past few years. The PA State Grant Program is the Commonwealth's largest need-based financial aid provider. It gives more than 100,000 students and an average of 200,000 each semester. Students cannot receive their grants until Josh Shapiro signs the state budget into law.
Allegheny County Executive Sarah Innamorato told the City Council on Tuesday there will be no tax increases or layoffs. This is due to a proposed $1.2 billion operating budget in 2026, part of a $3 billion comprehensive fiscal plan. Innamorato said her administration worked hard to control costs this year, including closing about 675 vacant county positions, 30 of which were funded. She said the biggest driver of increased expenses is the growing jail population, which added roughly $8.7 million in costs. The proposal now moves to the County Council's Budget Committee for review. Downtown Pittsburgh's Oktoberfest wraps up this weekend, but local businesses in Market Square are not seeing the revenue they have expected. The construction of the 2026 NFL Draft has misplaced the festivals that are usually held in the area, causing restaurants to struggle during their normally busiest seasons. John Morrell, the manager at Pizzolo Primo, said that festival season accounts for about 40% of the year's revenue. Morrell said, quote, "I think I can speak for most of the people in this square because we all talk to each other. It has been a significant financial burden, bordering on ruinous, end quote. Whiskey Bee is one restaurant that did not survive this financial drought. The Pittsburgh Downtown Partnership is expected to provide more information for businesses soon.
Bell Acres resident Christina Casotis is leading Pittsburgh's International Airport into a, quote, new era. Pittsburgh International is completing a $1.7 billion modernization project that is expected to be open by Thanksgiving. Under Casotis' leadership, Pittsburgh Air Service has grown from 36 to 61 destinations. As she leads the construction of a new airport, this is the first designed and built in the U.S. post the pandemic. It will also be powered by a microgrid fueled by natural gas and solar energy. It was not your typical drive on Wednesday morning for those who travel on I-79. Cows were reportedly the cause of a mass traffic jam on Interstate I-79. Police received several 911 calls about cows moving freely on the interstate. Troopers also stated that they do not know where the cows came from. They checked with local farms, but all their cows were accounted for. Drivers who were interviewed said this is something they never thought they'd encounter on their way to work. Temperatures are dropping this week in Moon Township. Let's send it over to Penelope for our daily weather forecast.
Thanks guys, I'm Penelope Shriver, and let's take a look at your hourly forecast. So at 3 p.m. it's going to be clear and sunny with 65 degrees, and moving on to 6 p.m. where it's going to be sunny again and drop a little bit to 64 degrees, but at 9 p.m. we're going to see it drop way down to 55, and it's going to be clear tonight. So let's take a look at today's overall forecast. We have a high of 69 degrees and a low of 47, and it's going to be a 3% chance of precipitation and 52% humidity. So if you're thinking about going to our homecoming dance, make sure to bring a jacket. Let's take a look at tomorrow's forecast. So we have a high of 69 again, a low of 51, and a 62% humidity and 15% chance of rain. While tomorrow's weather looks typical for October, it might not last long. On Thursday, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration announced the arrival of La Niña. It's a natural climate pattern marked by cooler than average water temperatures in the equatorial Pacific that causes changes in upper atmosphere patterns. It exerts an influence on global weather. La Niña's arrival sets the stage for several months of weather marked by its presence. This season, La Niña's conditions are expected through at least February, but this La Niña is relatively weak, so other atmospheric factors can compete for influence on weather, making the forecast less clear. Usually, a La Niña's winter makes the southern half of the U.S. drier than normal, parts of the Northwest and Ohio Valley a bit wetter than normal, and it usually makes temperatures warmer for cooler than normal, depending on the region. That's all I have for you right now. Make sure to stay tuned for your 5-day forecast and a special treat. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Penelope. Looks like we'll need some thicker jackets this week. Don't go anywhere, as Trump deploys the National Guard in these major cities, and why you might be looking at gold for your next big investment.
And Dolly Parton's personally updates.
The death of George Floyd, who died in police custody Monday night.
Turning my pain into purpose is pretty much what I have done to start this foundation. It's going to take more than just us, as a foundation. It's going to take the community, the world, to help us make a change, because it just can't be us.
Feel the beat of nature at a park or forest near you. Find a forest and music inspired by nature at discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back to RMU Live.
New York Attorney General Letitia James has been charged in a mortgage fraud case. President Trump urged his Justice Department to bring the charge. The indictment comes 2 weeks after the separate criminal case charging former FBI Director James Comey with lying to Congress. James released a statement saying, "Let's take a look."
This is nothing more than a continuation of the president's desperate weaponization of our justice system. He is forcing federal law enforcement agencies to do his bidding, all because I did my job as the New York State Attorney General. These charges are baseless, and the president's own public statements make clear that his only goal is political retribution at any cost.
James will be back pinned in a Virginia court on October 24th.
Hundreds of National Guard troops from Texas have arrived at an Army training center outside Chicago to support U.S. President Donald Trump's immigration crackdown. This move follows Trump's declaration that Chicago is a, quote, war zone, a statement that drew backlash from Illinois leaders. Governor J.B. Pritzker called the deployment a, quote, authoritarian march, while Mayor Brandon Johnson says it's, quote, illegal and dangerous. Trump shot back at this opposition of this plan. Let's take a look at his response.
If you look at Chicago, Chicago's a great city where there's a lot of crime. And if the governor can't do the job, we'll do the job. It's all very simple. They probably had 50 murders in Chicago over the last 5, 6, 7 months. Many people were shot. And then the governor gets up and he says, well, we can handle it. They can't handle it. They don't know what they're doing. The mayor is grossly incompetent. He's at a 4% approval rating in Chicago. He's at a 4%, lowest approval rating, lower than even de Blasio had, which is hard to believe in New York. I thought de Blasio would always maintain that record, but the Chicago guy is even lower. So I think that we want safe cities.
This next step in Trump's crime sweep follows recent deployment in Memphis. A federal judge has allowed the Chicago deployment for now, and the troops could begin assignments as early as Wednesday.
Vice President J.D. Vance will be traveling to Indiana as the White House pushes for redistricting. While other Republican-led states like Texas and Missouri quickly answered the White House call to create the new congressional district maps, Indiana lawmakers have noticeably been more hesitant. J.D. Vance's visit is at least the third time he's talked out to Indiana Republican lawmakers about the possibility.
After months of back and forth, the U.S. and Canada appear to be making progress toward a trade deal. President Trump hosted Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney at the White House on Tuesday. One Canadian minister said the meeting was positive, substantive, and more detailed than previous talks. And leaders that both directors had directed their negotiations to quickly land deals, particularly regarding steel, aluminum, and energy. CNN's Paula Newton has the latest from Washington.
Prime Minister Mark Carney really set expectations low going into these meetings. He did not have any illusions that he was going to come out of the Oval Office with a trade deal, but he did come out with some frank discussion. In fact, the lunch and the cabinet level meetings went on longer than expected. I want you to listen to Prime Minister Carney right now.
There are areas where we compete, and it's in those areas where we have to come to an agreement that works. But there are more areas where we are stronger together, and that's what we're focused on. And we're going to get the right deal for America, right deal, obviously, from my perspective, for Canada.
That is an admission that the new trade deal between the United States and Canada will not be like the old one in terms of the conditions that President Trump will set on these. Having said that, the Prime Minister definitely has the President's attention. They have a good relationship. And I want you to listen now to President Trump talking about a potential trade deal. Listen.
I think they're going to be very happy. We have a lot of things that we're working on that people don't talk about. They talk about, competitiveness. She's a very competitive person. And they talk about things that we don't necessarily agree on. But I think they're going to walk away very happy. I think so.
So happy is clearly in the eye of the beholder. I mean, look, no one in Canada is under any illusions that the deal that they have right now with Mexico, the United States and Canada, that they can resuscitate that. But in terms of getting those sectoral tariffs lifted, steel, aluminum, all kinds of energy. It is important that even in the next few weeks, they might come up with some kind of a deal on that. That's according to cabinet officials. And perhaps it will lead to more productive talks on a wider deal, not as favorable to Canada as others have been, but at least a more comprehensive deal in the months to come. Paul Newton, CNN, Washington.
Canadian officials say negotiators are expected to resume talks in the coming days, with both sides hoping to finalize trade agreements by the end of the year.
The price of gold has hit a record high of more than $4,000 an ounce. Investors have been looking for safe places to put their money over the concerns about economic and political holds much uncertainty around the world. Gold has seen its biggest rally since the 1970s. It rised since April when U.S. President Donald Trump announced tariffs, which have upset the global trade.
This Wednesday down in Florida, 29-year-old Jonathan Rinderknecht was charged with igniting the Palisades fire, one of the most destructive in Los Angeles history. He was arrested Tuesday in Orlando and made an appearance in court on Wednesday on charges of malicious destruction by fire. Authorities say the fire started as a small blaze on New Year's Day, then reignited 6 days later and swept across the Pacific Palisades and Malibu, killing more than 30 people and destroying thousands of homes in the LA area. Rinderknecht will remain in custody as the second fire is still under investigation. There will be another hearing on October 17th to consider bond and extradition proceedings. Country star Dolly Parton has put rumors to rest in a video posted to her Instagram on Wednesday. Parton said, quote, "I'm not dying. I'm not ready to die yet. I don't think God is through with me and I ain't done working," end quote. Her statement came while on the set of shooting commercials for the Grand Ole Opry music venue in Nashville, a reassuring sign for fans. This video came a day after Parton's sister asked the public to pray for Dolly's health on Facebook, a post that was quickly followed by an apology for scaring fans with that concerning call for prayer. Dolly Parton has canceled or postponed her upcoming shows as she deals with ongoing health challenges.
It's International Plasma Awareness Week, a time to put the spotlight on the importance of life-saving plasma donations. Experts say that many blood donors may not know about giving plasma, but it's a critical part of helping people with certain medical disorders. It's also used in emergencies. In this week's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has more on how plasma-derived therapy helps sustain life.
When he started elementary school, Jana Matthews says her son kept getting a cold that would always end in pneumonia, antibiotics, hospitalizations, even the removal of his adenoids didn't help.
It was devastating, and there was that mom instinct in my belly that something else was wrong.
At 7 years old, Matthews says her son was diagnosed with common variable immune deficiency, or CVID. His body doesn't produce enough antibodies to fight infection. She says doctors treated him with human plasma.
When I tell you it was night and day, within 24 hours, he was a normal 7-year-old boy running around the house, wrestling with his brother and our dog. And it was like a plant that finally got sunlight and water.
These therapies depend on donations. Giving plasma is different from donating whole blood. The Plasma Protein Therapeutics Association says it's collected through a machine that separates the plasma from a healthy donor's blood. The remaining blood components are then returned to the donor.
The process takes about an hour. And has about the same side effects as general blood donation. You might feel a little dizzy, maybe a little fatigued the day after.
Now, at age 23, Matthew's son has received plasma every week since his diagnosis.
My son is now thriving and living amongst the rest of us and achieving as an adult, and it just seems incredible.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
You can find more about plasma donation and find a plasma donation center near you by visiting plasmaweek.com.
Coming up next, we'll bring you updates on RMU football, news on the start of the MLB postseason,
and also a preview of Penguins as they head into their NHL season.
Do you want to meet a family with a transgender kid? Here we are. Max loves to do backflips. Max loves to play his ukulele. Max loves to just be a kid and just be himself. When I found out I was pregnant, all I really wanted was a happy, healthy, whole child. And that's what I got. I think it's really important for people to know that trans kids don't have a political agenda. They are just kids. Like any parent, we love our kids unconditionally, and we will never stop fighting for them. Stand with us. Protect our families.
Wait! Not in the toilet!
No, don't do that. No.
Don't hit your brother! Ooh!
Not again!
I tell you about playing in the mud.
Raffy, not so close to the pool. Wait!
Frankie, Tabby, what are you doing? We told you never to touch the gun!
I'm sorry, I didn't think it was that big of a deal.
You could have hurt yourself!
Safely store your guns. Unload, lock, and away from ammo.
Welcome back to RMU Live.
It's a full homecoming slate of games this weekend, and the Steelers are back in action.
Let's send it over to Joey Dramasic for the full weekly sports breakdown.
Thank you, Nick. Well, it's that time of the week. It's my favorite. It's your favorite. It's time for the weekly sports report. Kicking it off with the RMU football team as they took on Merrimack last weekend and suffered another loss, 24-7. Chaz Middleton was the Colonial to score from a pass from Cooper Pantek, who threw his first collegiate touchdown of his career. However, it would prove to be another slow day on the offensive side of the ball for the Colonials, which resulted in their fourth loss of the season. As we take a look at the screen, all the games that the Colonials have lost this season are because of poor offensive outings, which has been a consistent theme this season. In the NEC, the Colonials ranked 7th in total points on the season, 6th in points per game with 13.8 points per game, dead last for yards per game, just over 233 yards per game, 8th for the passing yards per game, and ranked again near the bottom at number 7 in the offensive efficiency. Coach Clark and the Colonials will begin their NEC campaign this weekend at Joe Walton Stadium for homecoming weekend as they take on Central Connecticut, who currently share the top seed in the NEC with Duquesne. The Colonials have the opportunity to flip their season around if they can get their offense going against the Blue Devils, who currently rank number 2 in the NEC for points against this season. Now, our weekend forecast for sporting events for the Colonials, as RMU will be very busy this weekend. Starting tonight, as the RMU volleyball team serves at 6 p.m. at the UPMC Event Center, and the women's hockey team will be in action at 7 p.m. down at Clearview Arena against the RIT Tigers. On Saturday, the temperature heats up as the cross-country teams will take part in the CMU Invitational in the morning, along with rowing, who also start in the morning and in the early part of the afternoon. But Bobby Moe Athletics really heat up at 2 p.m. as the football team takes on Central Connecticut in the Colonials' first game in the NEC, which is followed up at the NAC as the men's soccer team takes on the Cleveland State Vikings. The Colonials stay warm into the evening as the volleyball team takes on IU Indy, once again followed by women's hockey facing off against IIT to end the night. And on Sunday, the RMU homecoming weekend, it's a cooler day with men's golf taking part in the Bucknell Invitational and women's soccer wrapping up the weekend against Purdue Fort Wayne at 1 p.m. In Pittsburgh, the Steelers had a bye week this past weekend, but are back in action on this Sunday at home against the Cleveland Browns in an AFC North matchup. The Steelers come into the game 4-1 on the season and currently sit atop of the AFC North. The quarterback matchup will be the 21-season veteran Aaron Rodgers versus the rookie Dylan Gabriel in his first divisional matchup in the Berg on Sunday at 1 p.m. On the ice, the Pittsburgh Penguins began their season on Tuesday in New York and started their season with a 3-0 win, with Justin Bruzzo scoring 2 of the goals for the Pens. And last night in a high-scoring affair, they won again with the score of 4-3 in their home opener. Justin Bruzzo scored a late goal in the third to give the Pens an advantage, which secured the win. After a disappointing season last year, the Penguins are eager to have a more successful season and mixing in with youth players like Rutgen McGroarty and Vile Kuvanen, with the senior players like legend Sidney Crosby. There's a lot of potential with this Penguins squad. The Pens will host the Rangers tomorrow night before heading out on a 3-game road trip before returning home on the 21st. Now over to the mound. The divisional series for the MLB postseason was in full swing this week. In the American League, the Toronto Blue Jays eliminated the New York Yankees in 4 games. The Blue Jays wait to see who they play in the ALCS, as the Detroit Tigers and Seattle Mariners will play a 5th game, which will be played tonight at 8:08 p.m. in Seattle. In the National League, the LA Dodgers upset the 2-seeded Philadelphia Phillies in 4 games after taking the first 2 games in Philly. The Dodgers will wait until tomorrow night to find out who they will play in the NLCS, as the Milwaukee Brewers and Chicago Cubs will fight out a series-deciding game in 5 games in Milwaukee. To wrap it up, the WNBA Finals could be wrapped up at the end of tonight, as the Las Vegas Aces hold a 3-0 lead over the Phoenix Mercury, thanks to an Asia Wilson game winner in Game 3. Well, that's all I have for you this week, so make sure you tune in next week. And until next time, I'm Joey Dramasic. Back to the desk.
Thank you, Joey. Seems like Pittsburgh sports are looking good.
After this, we will have a weekly 5-day weather and the news on a newly announced Minecraft movie sequel.
Also, the answers to who's behind the mysterious rubber ducks appearing in Cannonsburg, so stay tuned.
If you love them enough to suck the snot out of their nose at 4 a.m., then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Today, we face an unprecedented crisis. Tens of millions of refugees have been forced from their homes. But you can make a difference. Turn disruption and despair to hope and opportunity. Even small amounts make a big difference. Provide shelter, support, or jobs in your community. The more we understand, the greater sense of belonging we create. Act now. Visit supportcrisisrelief.org.
I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it.
Families don't have to talk about everything, but they should talk about how to plan for an emergency. Get tips and resources to make your family's emergency plan.
Welcome back to RMU Live.
Looks like we're settling into the fall atmosphere as we take it over to Penelope with the weather report.
Thanks, guys. I'm back with your 5-day forecast, so let's take a look at Sunday. On Sunday, it's going to be partial showers with a high of 67, low of 51. And then moving on to Monday, it's going to be a high of 67 again, low of 51, partially cloudy. On Tuesday, it doesn't really change much. It jumps up to 70 degrees, low of 51, and partially cloudy again. And the end of our week, we get a little bit cooler, as it's going to be high of 67 again, low of 45. And on Thursday, it's going to be a high of 63 and a low of 44. Make sure to grab your umbrellas and your blankets this week, guys, as it gets colder. That's all I have for your 5-day forecast. Back to you.
Thank you, Penelope. We're finally settling into fall with these changes in temperature, and be sure to check out the changing foliage around here.
Prepare for more chicken jockey, as Warner Brothers announced on Thursday that the Minecraft movie will be getting a sequel in July 2027. This does not come as a surprise, since the box office hit starring Jason Momoa and Jack Black was the highest earning film of the year at North America box office. The film crafted up $950 million at the national box office and doubled more than its opening weekend expectations. No official plot or cast has been revealed.
The mystery of thousands of rubber ducks being placed all over Cannonsburg has been solved. Grandpa Joe's Candy Shop is behind the duck appearances for the past 2 weeks. The candy shop placed 2,000 small ducks around Cannonsburg. Christopher J. Beers, owner of Grandpa Joe's Candy Shop, said, quote, "We love a good surprise. The ducks are our fun. Lighthearted way to spark smiles, bring people downtown," end quote.
Thank you for watching RMU Live. We hope you have a great weekend.
And make sure to tune in next week.